welcome back, everybody, to Real Talk with Miss V and Company. I hope you've had a chance to tune in to last week's episode where we had a really, really good conversation with our friends, David and Keisha Brown. And we also announced that this podcast is kind of taking a new direction in a new season. And so we hope that you're going to join us for this journey and enjoy the ride. It's exciting. We had a few technical difficulties last week, but we're gonna keep pressing on, and our hope is to just get better at what we're doing, and like we talked about last week, like strive for excellence, strive to do better, and just to level up in all the other, in all the areas. So hopefully this video doesn't cut out. Hopefully we have something that we can post for you to view as well as listen to. So yeah, enjoy. Today is a special day. Well, here it's family day. I'm not sure when you're gonna listen to this. Hopefully later today, I will see. But that requires someone to have to do a little bit of work this afternoon. After we enjoy some family time together. But it is family day, and I just want to say I'm so grateful to have my family. When I look to the left and when I look to the right, I feel a preaching spirit coming upon me. Come on now. I feel just so grateful. I'm just surrounded by so much love. And I know some people think like family day, what a like random holiday to add to the calendar, and like, people just look at it as like a day off. But for us and for me, I really feel it's a time to be grateful for family, right? And we're all away from our biological family, but we have, I mean, you are, but like our, like Papa and like, Auntie Crystal and the girls and Auntie Becky and family. So you're away from Mama T and Papa Dean and Deanna. So yeah, it's definitely like, it would be great if we could all be together on family day, but I'm grateful that I have you two with me. And so without further ado, let's introduce, go ahead, introduce yourself. Let's introduce the baby in the room. Just kidding. Well, you know what? Go ahead, young lady. Tell us who you are. Tell the listener who you are.
Well, my name is Jaylan. Jaylan. I'm 17. In grade 12. What did I say earlier? I'm a coffee addict.
Recently coffee addict, because she never drank coffee ever before.
It's so good.
Yeah,
taste.
It is. That's the short version. Yeah, we'll probably get into a little bit more of that. She's a hardworking grade 12 student about to graduate. Go to college in September. Working hard at Mickey D's. Golden Arches. So yeah, to say we're proud of you is an understatement for sure. So yeah, and we'll I'll let you give your proud dad spiel a little bit later. So family day, this episode, I don't know, I wrote down a note to title it Family Day, Living Life as a Blended Family. But then when I looked up the definition of blended family as per google.ca, it actually said that it was two people coming together, but with children from two separate, like you coming with children, me coming with children, or a child, and blending them. So then you have like step siblings and step parents. So we throw that term out there, blended family, and I don't know that we've really called ourselves a blended family, here and there maybe, but in that technical term, only one of us came with children, obviously. But if I'm giving my own definition, it's taking two different worlds, really, two different histories, two different stories, and blending them together and making it one. So my question then, I'll start with you, Jay. When you first, and again, we want to do this episode for anyone else who's maybe on the journey of becoming a blended family, or your mom or your dad is, remarrying or getting married for the first time, or, you know, your life as you knew it is changing, right? And so for context, I was a single parent for 16 years, right? 15.
Yeah, like 15
Yeah, 15
years.
like and a half or something before I started dating my now husband, Andrew. And and so Jaylan and I had spent like every minute, moment, day together, just the two of us, for a very long time. And so when I started dating Andrew, keep it real here today. When I started dating Andrew, and you know, you realize that there was a possibility that I was going to maybe marry him.
Yeah.
How did you feel initially? Like, how did that make you feel?
How did I feel?
Yeah. What were some of your like first thoughts? This is before even meeting him. Like, you knew there was a guy.
Oh, okay. So
you haven't met him yet. Yeah.
I was excited.
Yeah.
Honestly, like my initial like thought, like I was really excited. I was like, it's been a long.
Wow.
It's been a long time.
Just keeping it real.
Just keeping it real, right?
Yeah, like I was honestly excited. Like I was like I didn't know him, but I was like excited at the thought that we would be married and I would have like a father figure in the home.
Wow. Yeah, which it's crazy that you say you were excited, because there's a lot of like, you know, 15, 16-year-olds where they go through that transition and they're like, oh no, they're like, excitement is not the word. I can think of someone right now, and I won't put them out there, but like when they found out their mom was getting married, they almost like started to act out, right? Like they were so upset that they were going to lose, or they thought they were going to lose their mom. So to hear you say like you were excited.
I mean, my initial.
Well, that's what we asked. Yeah. Oh, okay. I see where you're going.
Yeah, like at first, like I was like.
Real talk.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll go more into that, but like my initial reaction, I was excited.
Okay.
I was happy,
That's good. After so long. First of all, I was waiting on the Lord, okay?
Yeah.
I wasn't going to get ahead of God, even though I tried to many times and he just shut the door, thank God. But, yeah, and I think we both kind of knew, like, very early on that this was going to be something serious.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't just, some guy, you know?
No, I knew because, like, you didn't even tell anybody, like, about him at first. And I knew then that it was going to be, like, this was the one, because I was like, like, you hadn't said anything about him, and you were keeping it to yourself, and I was like, okay, it's different.
Yeah, it was different from the get-go, and I wanted to like cherish that, you know, before like all the like voices and people get involved and try to have their say.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I definitely was like, but you would catch me like on my phone smiling, and you're like, who's like?
It was like you had him in your phone as him with like a heart, and I would see it, and I'm like, who's him? Like. No way.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I also like found him.
Yeah.
I think because I asked you what his name was, and then you told me you were like Andrew, but like that was it. So then I just went through your following, and it was easy. I was like, am I?
Yeah. Who's the guy that's liking all your pictures? That's him.
Yeah. I was like, who is this guy?
And it's crazy because you know you go like when you're single, you go like years like praying like, oh, is that the one? And then you meet someone, you're like, is that her? Is that him? Mm-hmm. And so that's why, like, when we started talking and I somehow got your phone number and saved it in my phone, I never saved it as Andrew. Yeah. I saved it as him from the time I saved the number, and it was like, it's him. Mm-hmm. Like, the one I've been praying for, it's him. So I never did put it as Andrew, and even, like, after we got married, it just went from him to my love, So, but anyway, so after meeting this wonderful man, and now we're married and we're living. Well, I mean, I jumped ahead, but how did you feel after meeting BD? And then was there ever a moment for you, like, where you were scared of losing, like, what we had and, like, the thought of having to share me with somebody else?
Yeah, definitely. Like, the first time I met him, like...
Keep it real.
Like, in person, like... I I was so happy because like he was like surprising you, and like I knew that he was going to surprise you.
Yeah.
And so of course I was like happy, and then the second he came in and like you guys like hugged, just like gave a little kiss. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
You better be joking. I was like, nah, hit the road. Get out of here.
Hit the road.
He was there for so long, like it felt like so long, and I was just like, she's already gone. Like I wasn't like all that excitement kind of like slowly like went away, and I wasn't really like as excited. I was just like, bro, back up. That's kind of how I felt the first time I met him. And then he left, and then it got better because he wasn't actually like there to like, not necessarily like steal you away, but he wasn't like taking all your time. Like you were texting, but like it was different. Yeah. Because he wasn't like physically there. Yeah. And so like I think it was like it would always be like good, and I'd be excited until he would come to visit, and then I'd be like, nah, go back to Hamilton.
Oh my goodness,
it's kicking me to the curb.
No, but this is like the side of it that you don't always hear, right? So it's like it's good to be honest, but also to understand where she was at, right? And you'll also give a chance to give your point where you were at. But I do remember that first time, like, and we had been talking for like weeks. Like we had already been dating and in a relationship, but we hadn't actually had our first like in person, other than the first time we met, which was like months prior. So it was like we were like just head over heels, like goo goo gaga. And I remember like every time like we would go to like have a kiss or something, and we weren't like hiding it. It was just very like out in the open. Yeah. But I remember thinking like, wow, Jaylan's actually never seen me like kiss a man before. Mm-hmm. And like maybe I seem like a prude or whatever, but I tried to not have like, well, not that there were many that were interested, but I didn't have like men around. Yeah. Right? So other than like when I was, with like your biological dad, you were a baby. Yeah. So
I don't even really like remember it.
Exactly. So I'm like, oh, this is like, as much as we were like, finally, like, we get to be in each other's like presence, and like, I only have you for the day. So like, let's get cozy and cuddle and like spend every second, together. Where Jaylan was like, who is this man and why is he kissing on my mama? Right? Like, you can like her, sure. Yeah. But you ain't gotta put your lips on. And that's just, back up. Right? Like, back up. So, but that's fair. And it was like, I think as the weeks went on and he would come up and then there'd be like a month in between, like, we both kind of would get a little bit like excited for him to be there, but at the same time, you were like, "Oh man, here we go."
Yeah, like I was definitely excited because I was like someone to drive me around.
The benefits, and that was actually one of the questions, but not necessarily the benefits, but like just how life changed right after Andrew came in the picture. So, from your perspective, BD. If you hear me say BD, that is a name that kind of developed in the transition of becoming, we don't like the term stepdad or step-parent. So I think it was maybe Papa Dean that referenced like bonus dad at our wedding, as far as you becoming a bonus dad. And I was like, I like that as opposed to stepdad. And so BD is just the short form of bonus dad. And so we discussed it, like Andrew and I, like we're not going to put, and with Jaylan, like we're not going to put that like pressure. If you were a little bit younger, maybe it would be different, but you got older and, there wasn't any like mandatory direction that you have to call him dad, right? Yeah. And I think even you and I had this discussion, like there were so many feelings around like, if I call him dad, am I like saying my own dad doesn't matter anymore? Like there was so many emotions around that. So BD has stuck for now and maybe forever. But BD, dad, honey, husby. I call him hubby or dad or my love or whatever. But when you realized, because obviously you knew right away that I had a child. Yeah. And so you've shared it. I don't know if you shared it on the episode like earlier on, but you had purchased your vehicle before we started dating and asked God to like fill it. Mm-hmm. And then you prayed about like a family, and that even if you had to, excuse me, go into an already established family, like you wanted God to make up for lost time.
Yeah.
So when you started, like, when we started dating, you started coming around and you realized there was this like cute little, 15-year-old teenage girl that was going to also be a part of this relationship, right? Because it wasn't just me you were going into this covenant with. What was that like for you?
It was, I really didn't know what to expect because I had never dealt with kids before. I had been in youth work, like through the church, for years, but there was no history of like kids and knowing how to deal with them. And be careful what you pray for, because
wow,
there was no, because there were times in my life where I was like, I don't want kids, or if I like, I remember being in just a bad place, like, as far as how I acted with women, right? And I prayed to the Lord, like, I don't want to, like, don't let me have a daughter at all, because, like, I know how men can think and how dark and, like, grotesque it can be. And I'm just being, like, real talk. Like, this is, sometimes it gets pretty ugly. So to think that a guy would possibly have thoughts about, a daughter like that, that just, like, one, it scared me, and two, it angered me also. So it was one of those things where, like, when I was younger, it was like, okay, I Lord, don't ever let me, and now looking back, it's like, I wouldn't have it any other way. I was, like, I knew going into this relationship that you had this wonderful, beautiful daughter. My daughter, I consider her, my daughter, and I absolutely wouldn't change it for the world. I was excited, nervous, and at times felt unworthy, because I wasn't, like, her biological dad, or I didn't feel like I could be a good enough dad. You know what I mean? Just because, like, it's not like we've grown up together. Right? We're starting right in the middle of teenage years where she's now becoming her own person. And I do count that as, like, an honor and a privilege to be able to, for the little bit that I've been here for, see her blossom into this amazing young woman that she is now. So, and being able to be at such a crucial part in her life has been a blessing to be a part of that. And I'm excited to see her grow and graduate. Graduating high school is a big deal. I know it was for me, and I love high school. So to be able to be here for that is, I count it as, like, a blessing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'll just throw in there, I know we've discussed it, you and I, Andrew, just like how seamless Jaylan has made this transition for us, right? Like, you hear the horror stories, and I know some firsthand.
And of course, you got all the Hollywood movies.
And the Hollywood, the Holly weird, as Pastor Shepard would say. The Holly weird movies that just make it look so terrible, and the kids are trying to, like, destroy the stepdad, and the stepdad's trying to, like, infiltrate and get the kids out of the way. And like, I'm just so glad that, in God, it doesn't have to be that way. And, like, blended families can be a beautiful thing, and everybody has, like, a story, right? Like, I didn't come in, like, I came into the church with a child, right? So whoever came into my life had to accept that, one, I had a past, and in that past, a child came to life and was, conceived. And so that whole transition, just like, Jay, you couldn't have made it any easier. I don't think there was ever a time where you were like, I don't like him, or like, get away from my mama, you know, like they're
no,
probably
there's never a moment like that. And if anything, it was like I knew she was becoming more comfortable with me. The more like that she would be like sarcastic and like poke fun at me a little bit at times.
Yeah.
Not in like a rude or
No.
negative way at all, but in like, okay, like you know, we're starting to get through the like the surface level, like, and starting to get a little bit deeper, and it was.
And when she started to show you like her silly side, and
that was,
you know, I'm like, okay, she's comfortable, and that was a big thing. Like as a single parent, I was like, whoever he is, like, he has to love Jaylan like his own, and like he has to understand that Jaylan was here first as well. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean like in life like you come first now, because like that obviously has changed because I'm married now, and my husband has to come first in my marriage. But there's just a beautiful, I think, like balance of it all, where it doesn't ever feel like I'm choosing one over the other. We never had to come across that, right? So I thank God for that, honestly. And I will speak for myself. Like, I was a little bit like, oh no, like, how am I going to divide my love, you know? Like, she's my best friend, but now he's also my best friend. And like, we would joke, he'd be like, I'm your favorite now, like, obviously, you know? And I'm like, yeah, my favorite daughter. And you're like, no, say I'm your favorite. And I'm like, yeah, you're my favorite daughter, you know? And he's my favorite husband. And but you love me more, right? It's like, well, I love you differently, you know? And so
we know the truth.
Even still now, right? We know the truth.
I'm just kidding.
I plead the fifth. But I love you both with like such a deep, deep love. And, you know, I was worried about what that would look like. Would I still be able to have those one-on-one dates with Jaylan, and, you know, mother-daughter days and mother-daughter time? And, you know, I think there was like a couple times after we got married where you were like, Mommy, can you come sleep in here? You know?
Oh, yeah.
And that would tear my heart to pieces, because we grew up as like best friends, and like you spent a lot of years in my bed, cozied up next to me. And so, you know, once we got married and you would like text me like, can you come sleep in here? Or like, you know, knock on the door. And I knew that I couldn't. I had to, like, once we started down that road, it would never stop. And it would be like, you know, and maybe I could have like once and it wouldn't have hurt anything, but we were also newly married and setting a precedent in our home, right? That like, man and wife, you sleep in the same bed. Don't come for me. Don't shoot. Don't come for me. I'm just saying my own personal belief. I know someone just heard that and was like, well, we don't share a bed. That's your house, your rules.
Yeah.
But as for me and my house and our rules, man and wife, we gonna stay in the same bed. As mad as we might be some days, we're gonna sleep in the same bed. And so I wanted to set that tone that like, Jay, now I'm married, like I can't just be. But anyway, that was, you know, once or twice that took place. But I'm glad that over time we've been able to figure out like a good balance, right? And even you would be like, go have time with Jay, like, you know, enjoy your girls' day, or
absolutely.
You know.
I think it's important
Yeah.
to do that. I think as parents we need to make our kids a priority.
Absolutely.
You know, to have that one-on-one time and just to see where they're at.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes it can be a little, not that she's not comfortable talking with both of us around, but sometimes there's just a deep, when it's just you and Jay, like there's a deeper, because you guys have history.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a place that you can go to together.
Yeah.
Right? That is needed.
Yeah.
It's not something to be neglected. Not that it happens all the time, you know, but it's something that needs to still happen.
For sure. And we love those times. We do. And when we love our one-on-one time, that's why we've tried our best to prioritize date night. Sometimes we fall off the wagon there, but we're trying to be consistent to set that time aside for us. And I believe it creates and maintains healthy, a healthy marriage.
Absolutely.
So take notes of that, married folk, set aside time. Because once you put kids in the mix, and like, again, I already had a child, but for those that are having like, little kids and you're going through that transition, like, do not forsake that time together, because everything and anything will get in there and pull you apart, right? And before you know it, you're just like roommates going through life, and you know what I mean? So.
And newly married couples, babysit your friends' kids. No, I think that's it's a blessing to them that they can get a night and an evening away.
Yeah.
Plus, it also gives you the experience of having kids around.
Yeah.
I think of the Bussy kids. We love having them over.
Oh yeah.
We love having them over and just and giving John and Stacy a night.
Yeah.
To themselves. We love having all the kids that we are connected with. We love having them over. Because they are family. Yeah,
absolutely. I do remember that first time though, and like Micah came over with his like, what's that? It's like a.
Oh, he had his
a laser tag, yeah. And it was just like crazy from the time they walked in the door to the time they left.
I was so exhausted.
Right?
I was so exhausted.
Andrew was just like, at the end of the night, he was like, wow, like that's a lot. And I was like, yeah, like we love it. It
was a lot of fun. I would say that was my first taste of like actually being the adult in the room and have like dealing with kids.
And you weren't really sure like how to navigate that, but you've done well. You've done well. Now they love you. Like, and at first they weren't really sure about you.
No.
Like, who is this guy?
A breakthrough. That was a breakthrough for Micah.
It was. That moment was a breakthrough because he was like, okay, you're gonna play my game with me.
Yeah.
All right, you're good in my books, And every now and then, like, Bro would be like, is that your dad? Kids are innocent and they don't understand it, right? Like, but yeah, it's been a beautiful, honestly, this journey with both of you has been so incredible. And, I was excited, like you said, Jay, like now we have someone who's not going to complain about driving long distances and we don't have to take the train, although I still want to take the train, here and there.
Yeah, I would love to.
But we had someone who was comfortable and confident on the road. So it changed our world in so many ways, like things that I always felt like bad that I couldn't do for you and felt like you were not gypped, but like, that you missed out on certain things. Like I couldn't go if I couldn't drive there, then I couldn't take you there. Mm-hmm. So not that we are like, oh great, now we have a ride, but it was.
He's just here for the ride.
He's just here for the ride, and it's a good ride. But I'm like, that was one thing that I was like, it was God knows, right? He fits it all together because what I couldn't do, you were able to provide. And what you needed, I've been able to provide, right? Like there's just that beauty in marrying and being equally yoked and just growing as a family. And there's some Sundays where like we're all serving in some capacity. Andrew might be on sound. I'm, helping with worship. You're teaching in Sunday school. And it's like, I dreamed of this or dreamt of this. I don't know, dreamt. I dreamt of this, like having a family. We're all in, ministry together and we're serving and just being like a light, as a family. And I just love those moments. And now, like if I'm asked to minister somewhere, I'm like, I want my family with me. I don't want to go anywhere to minister without my family. Yeah. Because just, it's a lot as you pour out, especially with leading worship, like you pour out everything. Yeah. So to be able to look out and see, like just to look out and see Jaylan, when I'm speaking at a ladies thing or singing and, to look in the back and see my husband, working on sound, and it just, God has been good to us. Amen. Yeah. And he's answered so many prayers and bringing us together. And you've said it, like we were already an established family, but now we're a family of 3 and with 2 sweet babies in heaven. And I'm just so thankful. I really am truly thankful on this family day, which we've got things to do as a family today, so we won't keep this too long. But Jay, what were you most excited for? If you could just say one thing, other than obviously having rides to the mall, and but what were you most excited for? Because I'm thinking back to like little Jaylan praying for God to send mommy a husband, and you know, seeing other like families, right? It was always like you and me, and then like families all around us. So what's the one thing you were most excited for?
Like probably just like what you said, just to like have a family where like there's a mom and a dad. Because like growing up, like that was, like you said, something I prayed for a lot. So yeah, that was what I was just most excited for. And to see you, like obviously you were happy before, but to almost like complete our family. Like we were a family before, but like now there's just another piece to that family.
Wow, that's nice. I heard you say I was happy before, and I think of like a few times you've said in cards to BD, like, thank you for making my mom happy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that just gets me. Because you kids know, they know when you're like genuinely happy. They know when you're going through it. They feel that, you know, and when you have a bond like Jaylan and I, like we feel that from each other, you know, if we're down, like, so to recognize that like there was a different type of happy that I was now experiencing, it's like that makes me like so grateful, you know, that she's been able to see that you add that, you bring that, you know, as quirky as he is. Jaylan's like, I don't do quirky. When we met, when we started dating, Jaylan's like, he's so quirky. I was like, I know. She's like, you don't like quirky. And I was like, I guess I do now. I never did before, that's for sure, but I do now. And I'm like, it's his quirkiness that I love.
Yeah.
So
that's funny.
It like, it's crazy how like when God brings two people together, like what you thought maybe you didn't like, or you know what you thought was your type actually is not, and you know when God brings that right fit for you, it just makes sense, you know. It just like what, you got something you want to add to that?
Like it's not that I don't do quirky, it's like his type of a little bit too much.
Oh,
like now I'm used to it, but like at first, like when you say like somewheres like I was like, nah.
She did you dirty. She did you dirty on the podcast. Jaylan.
I'm sorry.
Somewhere's over the rainbow. How about you? What were you?
No way.
We're not going to do you dirty. I'm sorry.
You're too late.
I'm sorry.
Just keep it real.
That's a bit of a more.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Now she really did.
Let's reel it back in. What were you most excited about, other than the obvious?
Just kidding.
No way.
No, I think I was excited to be a dad.
Yeah.
You know.
Wow.
I was excited to like step in and be able to, you know, at least try my best to give. And be that father figure that maybe like hasn't been present, at least like in this family, right?
Yeah.
I was excited for that, and I'm still excited to continue that, right? Because it doesn't like it never stops, and it never will stop.
Yeah.
You know, I will continue to always pursue to be a great bonus dad to Jay. You know, no matter how old we are, you know, this is still going to be my first child, my first girl. So.
Oh, guys, don't get all mushy.
And chosen too. Like
that's true.
I think that is one thing I wanted, and I still want like her to know, is that she is chosen.
Wow.
You know, sometimes we think when it's biologically like our kids, sometimes kids, you just, there's this like, oh, you're born into it, but you're, you know, I think that's it's a really amazing thing to maybe be able to know, is that you are chosen. You know, like God chooses us, right? So it's kind of like it's not the same level, obviously, but it's a way for us to kind of see, okay, when God chooses us, like, this is kind of how it feels, just on a greater scale with God.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah.
Wow. And he's a good father. I'm so glad he chose me and chose me to be your mom. And chose, are you getting emotional over there? Jaylan doesn't let out too many tears, so if she cries, she's feeling it. But I'm glad he chose, you to be my husband and me to be your wife and us to be, parents to angel babies and, Lord willing, earthly babies, well, we'll see. But ideally just one. But we'll kind of summarize with this, like, if you were talking to someone who, maybe a friend, Jay, that was going, their mom or dad was remarrying for the first time, and they were going to be in a situation like you, like what advice would you give them?
I would say it feels lonely for a while.
Yeah.
But you're not alone.
Wow.
Your family's still there. It's just growing. Yes, just remember that you're not alone and that eventually it'll get better.
Wow.
Alone.
Wow. That's
good.
That's good. My advice, I guess, from, we'll say, the mother's perspective, if it's you as the mom and soon to be wife, learn how to balance that new role. You spent so many time just being a mother, and you've also spent so many years having to do it all. So learn to allow that person in and allow them to take on some of the work and some of the load. You've always said it, you're not doing it alone anymore. But when you've been doing it alone for so many years, you're wired that way, right? I have to do it all because otherwise it won't get done. So from the mother perspective, just find the balance. And sometimes you're gonna have to make decisions that one or the other is gonna be maybe upset or disappointed. Most of the time it's gonna be the child that's like, this is not fair. But you do have to make certain decisions that might not be easy, but if you keep, and I know it always sounds so cliche or repetitive, but like, if you keep God in the center of your house and your marriage, like, the hard days are easier because you know that, like, okay, I can draw strength from God. I can draw strength from his word, and it won't always be like this, like we said last week. And, this is just a season, and you're just able to get through it that much easier when there's a God-centeredness in that home, right? Mm-hmm. So even on those hard days when I may not like the person beside me, just kidding, I love him all the time. I do, I love him all the time, but there's days where we butt heads, and I'm just thankful that there's a God concept and a God-centeredness in this home, that he gives us the strength to get through those harder days, right? So what about you, Andrew? What would you say as the person coming in, right?
As the person coming in, I would say love hard, love often, but give time and give space.
That's good.
Just so that they know that you are there to love them, and you have their back, and that you support them in every in every dream that they have, every desire and forward progress that they want to take on, right? Be there behind them, supporting them, cheering them on. Just love hard and love often, but then you have to give space and give time for adjustment. This is not only is it new for you, it's also new for them. So they need time of adjustment. And actually, Pastor McCarty was the one that gave me that. That
was good advice.
So, and it works. giving space and giving time. Not that you're like, you don't talk to them, and but like if a response, like if you get a minimal response, like just okay, cool, like, and you know, keep going and like keep checking in, see how they're doing. You know?
And that relationship will just naturally,
right? It will naturally get there. It's just it takes time, you know.
Yeah, and you can't come into like that's a good answer, Andrew. Like, and you can't come into a blended family or an already established home and start like laying down the line. Like I have like friends that have gone through that where they, you know, I just want to be married, and they get married, you know, in a hurry because they're tired of waiting, right? The single season is lonely and it's a long season sometimes. But they've gotten married to, and I'll say, the wrong person.
Yeah.
And that person comes in and is like, well, this is my house now. I'm the man of the house. And the Bible says the man is the, you know, and they start kind of like laying down the law, and it ruins the relationship with them and the child. It puts the mom in this like position, and it, you know, where she's trying to choose between.
You can't make them choose sides. The moment you start to make a child choose sides or a parent choose sides, it's not going to end well.
No,
so you have to give time and space you have to acclimatize to the new surroundings. Just as, you know, I know that sounds weird because acclimatize more or less deals with the outside, right? When you go into it, like when an animal is going out into the wilderness, into the woods or whatever, they acclimatize themselves to that. But it's the same thing. Your surroundings have changed for not only yourself but also like the entire family. So give grace, give time for people to adjust. It will take some time, you know. And if there's a little bit of pushback from kids, like just respect that.
Yeah.
Because the worst thing that you could do is force. You know.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing. Because then there's already a wall there because you are not the biological parent. There will be a wall there. That's just natural. But if you just like take it one day at a time, one step at a time, and let them know that you are there for them, and that you love them, that you care for them, you know, it eventually those walls will come down.
Absolutely. So I'd say that it didn't take long.
No, it didn't take long.
In our little dynamic, I don't think it took long for those walls to start to come down. And I see you too sometimes, and I'm like, I couldn't have asked for a better. You okay?
I know something in my eye.
Something in your eye.
No,
It's so dusty down here.
No, actually.
Anyway, it didn't take long, and I see you two having this like beautiful bond that's just like I couldn't have asked for better, you know. And there's obviously still growing to do. I know, like, if you guys have to go somewhere by yourselves, sometimes you're like, what do we talk about? You know, because I tend to be the conversation starter sometimes. But there's a love there and a trust there and a mutual respect there that I want to give you both, like, a shout out for making that happen. Because you both did the work to make that happen, right? So, good on you. Good on you.
No, good on you.
Good on ya. Anyway, we'll close by just saying, I'm not really sure what, but we love you guys. We love you, the listeners, the Levitts love you guys, and we're so happy that you're a part of our family by default. You know, if you're listening right now, by default you are connected and a part of the family, and so. Thank you for being here. I guess I can look at the camera now since we're ending. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting and sharing and being a part of this dream and this vision. And stay tuned. There's so much more to come. Jay, we're so happy you were with us today.
Thank you for having me.
You're a great guest. Yeah, come back anytime.
Oh, I'll be back.
You don't live very far, so I know exactly where to find you. Yes, and my love, thank you for being a part of this family and for being, you know, such an amazing part of this family. We love you.
Oh, she's gonna cry too.
I'm not gonna cry. Have a blessed day, everyone. Walk in purpose. Love on your family. Enjoy today, and just be blessed.